Way of the Specializations. Artificer. From Of Mechanical Obscura, the words of Three Eyes make one passage stand out. What can this be? To ask that question is prove oneself a craftsman, one who looks upon the raw and wonders what it can become. The artificer is not of that kin, for she will look upon the same resource and wonder not how it can be elevated, but how it can be made to serve. There are no more words necessary. Multiple schematics follow. Assassin. From Of Granting Death, Blades and Other Means, Air's words make one passage stand out. You misunderstand the point of secrecy. Of course they know I was there. One of their number was dead. It is never the aim that they are ignorant to my purpose or presence. Death is, after all, a message, and messages are meant to be received. It is paramount that the arrival remains secret, not the result. They know what may come, but never when, until the answer is now, and there is naught they can do but receive. A treatise on cutting edges and other debilitating elements follows. Champion. From Champions of Note in a Great Tradition, Lord Chancer's words make one passage stand out. There is sacrifice in attaining the adulation of others, for while the champion is raised above all but their patron, this is done with the weight of expectation. Their shoulders bear the hopes of those they protect, the pride of those they inspire, and the demands of those they lead. And in becoming such a figure, the champion accepts not just the aspirations of his or her allies, but also the dangerous envy of the enemy. One must remember the figures of note who have come before them, for the glorious tales of their triumphs are often punctuated by steep and sudden tumbles. They burn bright and draw others to their glory. But as anyone who knows the flames can attest, a simple shift of breeze or landscape can send the fire homeward. Those who seek the title never think themselves joining 100 bound for obscurity. They know they are the rare few who will permanently be enshrined in glory. If they did not think as such, they would not be fit to try. Many heraldic symbols follow, as well as martial instruction. Knight-enchanter. From Rank and Roll and Victory, Commander Helene's words make one passage stand out. Many are reluctant to include the rank, but that is because it is rare enough that they have not seen it deployed. Most change their mind when they fight alongside. All change their mind when they fight against. In account, the training was not pleasant for me. When first I exited my circle, I was a babe new to the world, and then I was in battle, in defense of nation and name, and the lines did form, and my fellow mages took their positions in the rear, and I stepped forward. For my place in the fray opened, and those of muscle and blade were around me, and I was not afraid. For I knew my role and worth, and soon did all others know them as well. Any concerns I had that knights would not heed evaporated. All knew their rank, their place, and the value of that to their lives. Our blades were of different ken, but our purpose was clear and defined. On the field, in battle, I command. Detailed principles and examples of command follow. Necromancer. From Mortalitasi, for the living, the dead. The words of speaker Vius Anaxis make one passage stand out. We are of this world, and with any piece that seeks to leave its element, there is a void when we abandon the mortal. It must be that this would hold our returning to the Maker. It must be that we should seek balance. It must be that the Maker's first children aid the second. In account. Breath ceased on the hour exactly. We felt his absence in that moment, and we were ready. It was gentle, and all were calmed by the signs of spirit entering, knowing that there would be no chains on their loved ones. Unfettered, he would find the side of the Maker. But that was not the training for the battlefield. I had heard the accounts and knew my role, and I was ready. Then our warriors signaled the charge, and I was not ready. Breath was not stilled by the hour and was not gentle, and I was sore afraid. Then the enemy countered, and I saw blades come for the good men whom I had stood beside, and I would not allow it. The dead who had fallen, I bid their forms to serve, and it was the turn of our foes to know fear. But I had peace, for I had granted the fallen greater purpose, and in doing had honored life by protecting it. Detailed ritual instructions follow. REAVER. From A Path of Warning and Harsh Promises, Breaker Thram's word make one passage stand out. The blood of the dragon is treated in a way that speaks of dark intent. Though motive is left to the temperament of the individual Reaver, all of us can be tempted to harsh conduct. It is simply the fate of the Reaver that theirs is the power to be brutal above most others. Their destruction is first inward. a commitment and test that spares them the instant distrust of the blood mage, to whom temptation comes with ease and the will of a demon in constant threat. An account. I cut the beast. It had seared me, but now its blood was the balm that would soothe. Later, I took the smallest amount and, adding it to the rite and ritual I had learned, drank without hesitation. It did not taste like blood as the uninitiated understand it, for they only know the taste of the wound, a flavor of defeat. This was the taste of blood coursing within, of life, of the primal, a burning that is not swallowed so much as it inhabits. To infuse with the blood and life of such a beast is to be changed at the core. Some could see it and knew I was more than I had been. Some could not and had no warning. And some knew but would not say, for the choice of how to wield it is truly mine. The act of becoming is a defiance of all expectation. I am above. I see where the blade must go. I see through you. Several mixtures are detailed, each contributing to the final. Rift Mage. From Power Bleeds, Harness the Flow. Your trainer's words make one passage stand out. There are no tomes dedicated to this manipulation. There has been no time for academics, only the practical, and not in a manner that mitigates risk. Power in a raw form has found an outlet, both visible and in ways that only we of arcane proclivity can sense. The risk is great. An account. From this page forward there are notes of Thelric. They began as the work of my mentor Julian, and I will continue the research she began, as she cannot because she is dead. The rift we were examining did not react well to our last investigation. We believe ourselves prepared for demonic manifestation. We were not prepared for how the energies we expected would be encountered. Well versed in the forces that magic can produce, my senior was surprised by an alteration, a deviance. That which previously had to be coaxed is now a flood that must be staunch. The same amount in different intensity, quick to expose fault in the way it is accessed. She drew too much, expecting resistance. There was none, and her form suffered the brunt. Tread carefully in studies of new matters, for I cannot unsee the end of her. Scattered symbols and sketches follow. Tempest. From Of Storms, Notes on the Tempest in Practice. Keem's words make one passage stand out. They expect folly in the Tempest and are fooled, for there is no madness in knowing the absolute limit of ability and charging to that edge. Wars may be a tactical affair, but the one-on-one meeting of combatants is decided by the one who first realizes they are in mortal peril and commits fully. Many reach that point. The Tempest starts there. By the time their foes have risen to match, it is too late. And another. They ask what type of shot they should encase the mixture in, expecting some trebuchet pot or vessel fit to pour over a palisade. I bade them make it by the barrel and store it in my quarters with 1,000 glass vials. They were afraid, and I smiled. Another still. Forward, ever so. Where you were is dangerous. Where you go is dangerous. Different reasons, both to your advantage. Leap, then leap again. Looking is for witnesses, not the disaster. Also, one more. I did not say I was unappreciative or unimpressed. That you were a sight to behold is not in question. All I noted is that the Tempest is offensive not just in ability, but in what condition you leave the field. I should like 100 of you to deploy in the cities of my enemy, and not a one to stand as defense in my own home. A series of unstable brews follows. Templar. From a treatise on lyrium and its varied forms. Sir's word make one passage stand out. The means and usage employed by the Templar are far stronger than even the draughts of magi, and are of considerable danger to the uninitiated. It is not something that is introduced in gradual fashion. Rather, it is a great infusion that is daily held in check by ritual maintenance. An account. We entered the makeshift chantry, and my comrades-to-be were arranged as though an honor guard, the trainer waiting to receive me. I was invited to pass among them, and it seemed important that each step be my will. Any reluctance would have signaled that I was not ready. They were boisterous and encouraging, slapping hands upon my shoulders as I passed. Upon reaching the trainer, he turned to me. Before him was a box filter I had prepared. He nodded as if to ask if I was ready, and I returned the gesture. His eyes were solemn as he raised a mailed hand. It was bathed in the shapeless glow of lyrium far too strong, prepared in a way I did not know. The hands of my fellows still on my shoulders gently turned from welcome to restraint, and my arms were made immobile at my sides. I felt a rising alarm, but my certainty beat it down, as it would many times in my career. The trainer pressed the glow against my chest, and in an instant all was pain and white. When next I had my senses, there was much camaraderie and rejoicing, but also knowing looks. Each day I felt a hunger deeper than I had ever known, and woe be me if it went unfed. I could not imagine bearing it without the support of the order and my certain purpose. Several instructions for handling lyrium follow.